Good morning and a happy World Wellness Weekend. We've finally got here after all the months and months of preparation. All around the world, there are people out there who have flung open their doors who are offering fun, free activities this weekend for their local community, their clients, their friends, their families, to really discover what it is to be well and all the different kinds of possibilities of finding wellness and well-being in your life. I'm going to start very soon my webinar called Supercharge Your Health, which is all about how to take care of your immune system so that you can fight off those winter bugs. But I just want to say a huge thank you to all the other ambassadors out there and coordinators, and especially to Jean-Guy de Gabriac for bringing us this initiative. It truly is an honor to be part of it and to be able to support as well people within Belgium who have been also signing up to host activities, and some other people all around the world as well that I've been helping. So it's been a real privilege and an honor, and I wish you all a fantastic weekend. So let's make this the wellest weekend ever. Take care. Bye. Hello, my name is Julie Wren. I'm a nutritional therapist and a World Wellness Weekend ambassador. So I work with busy, overwhelmed, stress and time poor professionals who are in need of a bit more self-care and nourishment. And through any of my 3 signature programs, Reset, Reboost, and Regenerate, I really help them to move away from being wired and tired all the time towards having bags of energy and vitality. And if you would like to know if one of these programs would be a good fit for you, and if I would be the right therapist to help you achieve your health and wellness goals, then please do take advantage of my 3 free 30-minute transformational health call, which you can book via my website. So let's jump right into today's topic and see how you can supercharge your health by supporting your immune system. And we can do that with good nutrition, because when we eat a balanced diet, we give our bodies the powerful nutrients it needs to fight off infection and diseases. So let's just take a look today at what we're going to cover. So we're going to take a look at what our immune system is, because I really do think that when we understand what's going on inside, it really helps us to make those changes a lot easier. And then we'll be looking at how to make your immune system smart, and I'll be sharing with you as well my 10 top tips. So your immune system is actually your second most complicated system in your body after your brain. So think about your body as your country and your immune system as its military forces. Then throughout the country, you've got an intricate network of defenders, specialized tissues, glands, and cells who are all working together as a team to keep you healthy by fighting off and protecting you from foreign invaders like bacteria, viruses, parasites, fungi, pollens, toxins, and allergens. Now, your immune system has 3 main divisions, starting with a set of barriers. And when the foreign invaders breach these barriers, the next 2 branches of the immune system get mobilized. And best of all, it's working inside you constantly without you necessarily being aware of it. Now, that is great when all is working as it should, but your immune system can become compromised by dietary, environmental, and lifestyle factors. And a compromised immune system can really lead to frequent illnesses, and you can also suffer more whenever you do get ill. So let's have a look at that picture of what our immune system looks like. So first of all, you've got your physical barriers, which are your skin, and then the mucous membranes found in places like your nose, your eyes, and mouth, which use white blood cells to fight infections before they can get inside you. Then there are 2 more arms of the immune system, the innate and the adaptive. So what's the innate immunity like? Well, think about this like it's the first line of defense, and it's staffed by general purpose pathogen killing cells. You may have heard of them. They're called neutrophils and macrophages. They're like Pac-Man. They go around and eat things up. And these are what we call the early responders to an invasion. Now, the adaptive side is more targeted, and it's slower to react as well. And they really react when there is a specific pathogen, and they use very precise weapons, such as T cells and B cells and antibodies. So think of T cells like the special ops team. So these elite defenders, tailored to fight specific pathogens. And your memory B cells sort of protect you from infection by making proteins called antibodies. So they recognize the pathogen and trigger a swift and very ruthless response if that invader strikes again. But some viruses, like the flu virus, can mutate and invade immune memory. Now, another important part of your immune system is actually things like the bone marrow and your spleen, because they are responsible for making white blood cells that really fight infections. And then, of course, we shouldn't forget your lymphatic system as well, because that's transporting around your body a fluid called lymph, and that lymph contains those white blood cells. So altogether, your immune system functions like an amazing team. It's working to keep you healthy, safe, and alive. So let's have a look now at how our immunity develops. So a child is born with an immature, innate and adaptive immune system, which then matures as that child gets older, and it acquires memory as it goes through life. So, the more we can get exposed to different things in a healthful way, the better it is. But unfortunately, when we get older, from about 60, our immune system starts to go a little bit downhill. But there's a new concept called immune age. So you might have heard of people talking about chronological age. Well, that's the age in your passport. And then you have your biological age, which is, how old is your body? So now they've actually been able to work out how old is your immune system. So again, it might not be the same as in your passport. But, unlike our chronological age, which we can't change, our immune age can actually go down as well as up. And that's usually because of very deliberate lifestyle changes that we can make. Now, another very interesting fact is how you were born, as this too can affect the development of the immune system, as can whether you were breastfed or bottle fed. So those are the kinds of questions I like to ask in my consultations, especially if I'm working with someone who suffers a lot from repeated infections. And that can also tell us a bit as well, like if they were at the younger age, they were having lots of antibiotics, that might have also affected their immune system. So now we're going to move on to the enemies of the immune system. And here you can see a list there of all the different kinds of things, viruses, bacteria, fungi, like we spoke to as well. And we have there as well, the last one about allergens and particles. So that's related to our gut, and we'll talk a bit about that later. So developing a smart immune system. So we really don't want to boost our immune system, because an overcharged immune system can actually be damaging. So what you really want, as I said, is a smart immune system, one that can really respond effectively to whatever comes your way, and that can keep your body clean, healthy, and free of disease. So we've already seen the enemies of the immune system, but what about diet and lifestyle factors? What can they do to weaken the immune system? Well, because immunity typically declines with age, it does, as I said, it becomes really important to eat more immune-supporting foods as you get older. And many studies have shown as well that nutrient deficiencies cause an impaired immune function as well in the elderly. Even in people as young as 35 years old, poor nutrition can really wreak havoc on the immune response. So we'll be looking at some of those things like nutrient deficiencies, the sugar, the gut connection in the next few slides. So how is our food really affecting our immune system? Well, it's really difficult to overstate how important nutrition is in promoting a healthy immune system, because it actually has a massive impact. Now, your immune system cannot function properly without a dream team, as I call them, of vitamins and minerals, whether it's vitamin C, D, or E, or zinc, copper, selenium, or iron, and a whole host as well of other nutrients. That is what you've got to be looking at getting within your diet. But before you're going to start reaching for that supplement bottle, let's take a food first approach. By making an important focus also on the quantity as well as the quality of your food. Because actually when we pile on the pounds, all that excess fat, we can actually be releasing different chemical signals that actually interfere with the immune system. And I shouldn't forget to mention as well that yo-yo dieting is also harmful, as it can actually reduce the performance of some of those specialized cells that I mentioned from that rapid response team. So these are my top 10 tips, and we'll go through them one by one, and hopefully there'll be something there that inspires you and you'll want to try. So let's start with this eat real food, eat a rainbow. So what does your body need? It needs real food. It needs unprocessed food to stay healthy. So yeah, the focus is really on eating as natural as possible, unrefined and unprocessed, and try and cut out or cut back a lot on the sugar. So your priority should be what we call nutritionally rich foods, so that you can get a real diverse group of phytochemicals. So what's that, a phytochemical? Well, that's a bioactive chemical compound in a plant that creates a strong barrier against the pathogens that would otherwise make you ill. So think of it like eating the rainbow foods, but M&Ms and Skittles do not count as rainbow foods that are nutritionally good for you. And by eating these rainbow foods, you really provide your body with such a lot of a variety of vitamins and antioxidants. And the brighter the pigment, the more powerful the antioxidant. And they sort of, I say, these colorful pigments really act like a set of chemical keys that unlock your body's healing potential. So just a few things to think about here. So you could increase your intake of citrus fruits or berries like blackberries, blueberries and raspberries, cherries particularly good, mangoes, your dark leafy greens, and all of the brassicas, things like cauliflower, broccoli, kale, all those lovely things. And when you're cooking, if you can try and incorporate some garlic as well, because that has some really good antibacterial and antifungal properties. And you can use ginger as well, because that's a great anti-inflammatory. Now, zinc is another really potent immunostimulant, and that can be found in foods like red meat, but we need to obviously making sure that we're eating good quality red meat and not too much of it. Chicken, fish, eggs, dairy, legumes, and pumpkin seeds. And I shouldn't forget to mention as well the healthy fats like olive oil, coconut oil, avocados, oily fish. They all contain special kinds of fats as well that help keep our skin healthy, remembering that our skin is our first barrier, one of those protecting parts of the body. And it also supports our cell membrane plasticity, so things can move in and out of our cells more easily. And it also has an impact on how the immune cells function as well. And coconut oil has also been studied for its antimicrobial and antifungal properties. Now, a little word here about saturated fat, because everybody's always talking about heart health as well. So yes, there are some saturated fats that are good for you, and really they should only make up about 10% of your total calorie intake. That's recommended for you, for your age and your activity. So if you're looking for a way to eat, you might want to consider the Mediterranean diet, because that is really colorful and a wonderful way to get all of those lovely foods in. Next, I want to talk to you about what's called G-bombs. So again, if you've been wondering what to eat and you don't know where to start, perhaps just start with this list, because this is really helpful. And they say the G-bomb is a fun acronym, and it was developed by somebody called Joel Fuhrman, and it stands for greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds. It also includes some nuts as well. So they are basically full of critical nutrients to help your body fight off illness. So we already talked a bit about the greens, like the spinach, the kale, but you've got bok choy, Brussels sprouts, all of these beautiful phytonutrients, rich in folate, which is another important part of the B family of vitamins. You've got calcium in there as well. And I say folate is really important for helping you to produce those antibodies, that memory that helps you destroy the antigens that can make you sick. Right. And you can just blend those kind of things into smoothies. You can saute them. You can use them as a base for colorful salads. Chop and mix them into pasta dishes, or even roast them. Beans, peas, and lentils. These are full of fiber, and we'll come back to that as well when we talk about gut health, and also things called resistant starch. So that's not broken down through digestion, but that helps as well feed our good bacteria. They can really also provide you with extra bulk and also protein as well. So things like peas, beans, lentils, soak them really well before you use them. You can even just have them sprinkled on top of your salads as well. So that's also another great way to eat them. Onions, well, they're part of the allium family, like the garlic. And you can find shallots, leeks as well in there, and chives. And they've got these sort of it's like sulfur compounds, and they have been also proven to have benefits for our immunity. And they actually are released when we crush or chop. So it's always a good idea to crush and chop your garlic well. And onions also have another compound that can be really powerful fighting bacteria. And as I said, it has that lovely prebiotic fiber that is feeding our beneficial bacteria. Yeah, and I think they really make a great kitchen staple because you can use them in so many different ways. Now, mushrooms. We love mushrooms because there's so many different kinds of them, and they have lots and lots of health benefits. Portobello, you've got some of those shiitake mushrooms, and they've all been studied for their immune modulating abilities. So yeah, it's really, I think, something, again, you can really get that into your diet quite easily, and they could make also a nice alternative as well if you are not eating meat. Okay, then we go on to berries. So we want to really focus on things like the berries, like strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, and blueberries, because of that beautiful color, but also because they don't mess around with our blood sugar too much. And they can have lots of plant chemicals in there, which makes them, that's the colorful bit, and lots of vitamins as well, which is helping our immune system function at its best. And you can eat them, again, raw. You can blend them into smoothies, mix them into your oatmeal, yogurt, homemade chia jam, even put some things like the blueberries into the salads. Now, seeds and nuts, we want to make sure we're not eating too many of those. What is too many? I always say, 3 Brazil nuts a day is good. So you want to be looking perhaps at a mixture of them. Walnuts are also good. Almonds are good. I would not count peanuts in there. They can be quite allergenic. But yeah, the almonds, walnuts, and are the good ones, in the Brazil nuts. And they also have nice fiber and healthy fats in there too, and vitamins. And zinc. So we mentioned zinc before. Zinc is really good for you. It's really good for boosting the immune system, or supporting the immune system, sorry. And they're especially high in pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, and hemp seeds. So yeah, so we also call zinc sometimes the gatekeeper of immune function. You can build them into your afternoon snack, or make a homemade trail mix, and you can put them into making your own maybe nut butters or nut cheeses, put them into salads or stir fries as well as smoothies. So those are your G bombs. So let's have a look at sugar. So, that sweet taste isn't really bad. It's actually one of the 5 basic flavors, and actually we're really hardwired to want it. But even if you don't consider yourself to be a sugar addict, it is worth taking a look at how much you do consume, and trying to swap sugary treats for something more wholesome. And also there's a lot of hidden sugar in things as well that we might not always be aware of. So how can guzzling down a sugary energy drink or wolfing down a bowl of cereal or a bag of biscuits actually interfere with our immunity and cause inflammation? Well, actually, sugar is fanning the flames of inflammation, and it affects the ability of our white blood cells as well to fend off viruses and bacteria. So, in fact, the immune system stays depressed for hours after consuming sugar. And we do know that regular intake now has been linked to lots of different health issues, and one of them obviously being diabetes. So what sugar does, it kind of dulls down our receptors for insulin. So you might have heard the term insulin resistance. So that means basically our cells can't actually take up that sugar anymore. So having that sugar circulating in our blood is not good for us. And eventually that will lead, as I say, to either pre-diabetes or actually a full-blown case of diabetes. So yeah, so when we have insulin resistance, it's keeping our blood sugar high, and it forces any sugar that isn't taken into the cells to actually be stored as fat. So while you might be thinking fat makes you fat, actually sugar does make you fat. And, and we used to think that fat cells were just a storage place and a place where we would, release them for energy. But now we know that fatty tissue is actually a reservoir for a range of pro-inflammatory materials that you might have heard that word, cytokines, during the pandemic. So that is can be released as well. So yeah, so I say this is a story about sugar, insulin, and fat, and those pro-inflammatory chemical messengers. So we want to be really trying to get off of that yo-yoing of the sugar. So let's look now at nourishing our gut. So I think I should tell you that you are only 10% human. For every one of the cells that makes up your body, there are 9 imposter cells hitching a ride. So you're not just flesh and blood, muscle and bone, brain and skin, but you're also bacteria and fungi. And over your lifetime, you will carry the equivalent weight of 5 African elephants in terms of microbes that are on you. So you're more them than you are you. And your gut alone hosts 100 trillion of them. And until recently, we thought that our microbes didn't matter, but they do. So you might not know, but about 70 to 80% of your immunity to germs and disease is actually in your digestive system. And every bite of food we eat is traveling through 20 plus feet of our digestive tract. And that's lined with really delicate cells. We call it like the inner skin. So we need to make sure also we protect it as well. And so we have the friendly bacteria that live in our gut. And they don't just help us to digest our food. As we said, they're vital to a healthy immune system. But we need to get that right balance between beneficial or good gut bacteria and the bad one, which are potentially the pathogenic. So making sure that we keep those pathogenic ones down, we crowd them out, and we only have beneficial. And actually, that whole gut environment is taking a beating year after year due to our poor diets, too much sugar, stress, antibiotics, and a few other factors as well. So even if you have no obvious tummy troubles, digestive health is really vital. So it's worth the extra effort to take care of it. So you could be adding probiotic and prebiotic foods to your diet. And these help repopulate the gut with good bacteria, and they feed them well enough to really crowd out those bad bacteria. So what are some other things that can be considered good then? Well, it might be like actually cold and cooked potatoes, and miso soup, natural yogurt, but not the 0% fat type because that has too much sugar in it. And other fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi. You've also got artichokes, and in the G-bombs I mentioned earlier, you've got things like onions, greens, the beans, and the lentils that will also be good for the gut health. So next, let's talk about stress. So chronic stress can really weaken the immune system. And our stress hormones latch onto immune cells, and they really interfere with their ability to respond to antigens. But on the other hand, a little bit of short-lived stress might be beneficial, as some studies have shown. But how much is too much? Well, that's, I think, a very personal thing. What might seem stressful for you might not be for someone else. So it's all about how we deal with it and how we can support ourselves through those stressful moments. But it's really about the chronic stress that we are more concerned with when you're living on that edge all the time. And a really quick way to switch your nervous system from high alert and create a calming sensation is to do some deep breathing, as this stimulates what we call our parasympathetic nervous system. So taking some nice deep breaths in, and you can try box breathing. So you breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, hold. And if you keep doing that, imagining that you're building it like a box, that can really, again, calm you down instantly. As can, listening to some music, or you can listen to a meditation app. And if you can build that regularly into your day, those moments of just, I'm going to take some time out, do some breathing, listen to some music, or even like a 10-minute app of meditation is really positive for you. And next, we're going to have the good night's rest. You know, I often ask people, well, how much sleep are you getting? And how much sleep did you get last night? Because even a moderate lack of sleep can really put you at a greater risk for catching a bug. And when we're sleeping, the body is really recharging all those physiological batteries it needs in order to function properly, including our immune defenses. And when we get too little sleep, as I said, or that sleep's not really qualitative, then there's a decrease in both the number and the efficiency of our immune cells. And another important thing I want to mention is about melatonin. So our body starts to make melatonin around dusk, which signals to your body that night's falling and it's time to set the stage for a restful night's sleep. So we really don't want to mess around with its production, because actually it's also a very powerful antioxidant as well. So what could you do? Well, you could plan to go to sleep and wake up at roughly the same time each day, and that trains your biological clock to secrete the melatonin earlier in the evening. Blue light is one that's really important to get under control, because from those electronic devices, because it will suppress a melatonin production. It's also overstimulating the brain. So try to avoid screen time before bed by switching off all devices about 90 minutes before. You can avoid stimulants like tea, coffee, alcohol, and energy drinks. But a great drink is actually tart cherry juice, as it contains melatonin. And you could also look at eating foods rich in tryptophan. That's an amino acid, and that helps to promote sleep by also helping to trigger the production of melatonin and another hormone called serotonin. That's the habit. And then you can get that from things like turkey, yogurt, chicken, salmon, the pumpkin seeds and chia seeds and beans again. And if you eat them with some dark leafy greens and nuts, they'll be rich in magnesium, which is often called the tranquility mineral, and a vitamin B6, which also helps again with the production of those two important hormones, serotonin and melatonin. And avoid sugar and any refined carbs, especially in the upper time, because that's going to give you a bit of a wake up. Now, if you have a bath at home, you could look at taking some Epsom salts and add a few drops of lavender oil too. And again, if you suffer from insomnia and you're really finding it hard to clear your mind before going to sleep, there is specialized music. They're called binaural beats. And you can look them up on the YouTube channel or Spotify, and you can see what you like there. And that can actually help with the brain waves. And you can also look at some relaxation exercises as well. So with little stretching, some yoga. There are also some herbal supplements too that help with sleep. In fact, there's a huge range of options to choose from to help you get a good night's sleep. So if that is something that you want to work on, then you've got lots of options there. Next, let's talk about exercise, how to move smartly. So if you want a robust immune system, you really do need to integrate physical activity into your life and get it into your diary as a regular activity. But it shouldn't be feeling heavy or, I've got to go to the gym. Choose something fun. You don't have to pound away at the gym for hours and hours on end if that's not really your thing. There are so many other activities. So you can really take advantage this weekend, which is World Wellness Weekend, to find something that inspires you. Go over to the Well Map on the World Wellness Weekend website and look for an activity near you and see if there is a local wellness champion who's offering something for free, and you can go along and try it out and see if it's something that inspires you. Now, another important part of the exercise is related to your lymphatic system. So the lymphatic system is like a parallel universe to your bloodstream, and it contains a network of tissues and organs that help your body get rid of toxins and waste. So it is part of your immune system. And its main role is to transport a fluid called lymph around the body, which contains infection-fighting white blood cells. So unlike the blood, which moves around thanks to your heart pumping, there's no automatic way of moving lymph about. The only way to move all those toxins from A to B is by moving yourself. So exercise is a way, and massage is a way as well of moving lymph around the body. Next, we've got protein. So it's really important to make sure you're eating enough protein, especially if you're a vegan or vegetarian, because without adequate protein intake, the immune system can be weakened, and it can lead also from a slower recovery from illness. So let's look more specifically as what protein actually does for our immune system. Well, basically, it's increasing the antioxidant activity. It's helping to repair and build tissues. And our antibodies that we talked about that help fight disease are actually made up of protein. So really important to get enough. There's also another part of our immune system. It's called the complement system. The clue there in the name, it complements our immune system and it enhances the immune cells to do their job. And that is also made up of proteins. They're made in the liver. So we need to look after our liver as well and modify the alcohol and choose liver-friendly foods like the brassicas. So you're starting to see that everything's quite linked here. Well, one thing will actually go on to help something else as well. So what's enough protein? Well, the recommended daily intake is about 0.0 grams of protein per kilogram of your ideal body weight. And I'd up that to 1 gram if you're a vegan. So let's say if your ideal weight is 65 kilos, then that means 52 grams of protein. But of course, that does depend on you, your body composition, your nutrition goals, your health status, age and body size. But a rough way of looking at that is to use the size of your hand, as you can see on the slide there. So in the palm of the hand, or on the back of the hand like that, you could also do as a size. And try to make it, if you can, organic and yeah, good quality protein, not too fatty, also very good. And next we've got sunshine. Who doesn't like a drop of sunshine? And sometimes it's really difficult to achieve that in the winter and the spring. But spending time in sunlight is a really vital immune supporter. So we make vitamin D through our skin. It's absorbed by absorbing sunlight. So yes, we do need to be sun safe, but also we need to be aware that if our skin doesn't see the sun, then we're not making vitamin D. And there are loads and loads of people out there who don't perhaps know that they are vitamin D deficient or have insufficient levels of vitamin D, and that could be really affecting their health. So I think it's always a really good thing to do, especially now here in our part of the world, we're coming into the autumn time, is to do a test. Go to your doctor, ask for a vitamin D test and see where you are. Are you sort of at the high end or are you down at the low bottom end, but you're still within that reference range, but it's where you are in that scale that will help you then understand what you need to do when you go into the winter time. And some people do need to supplement, but I would never supplement until I've had my vitamin D levels checked first. So yes, if you can get out in the sun without any sunscreen on for about 15 to 20 minutes, that's great. In the wintertime, you may want to consider, depending on where you live, taking a vitamin D supplement. But you can also get some vitamin D from foods, not a lot, but you can get some. So again, it depends on how much you need to boost you up. But make sure that if you can get some oily fish like salmon, mackerel, and things like mushrooms, cheese, egg yolks as well. And there are some foods that are actually fortified with vitamin D, but it's not the active kind. So when we take a supplement, we're looking for vitamin D3. So get that checked out. Okay. Herbs and spices. I do love to cook with herbs and spices. They really do add a wonderful flavor to food, and also it's actually putting on your plate, immune helpers. I already mentioned earlier about garlic. Has its antimicrobial, and as we said, crush it, chop it or grate it and allow it to sit for a few minutes, and then it will release that important compound. And it's pretty resistant to heat as well, so you can cook with it in many different ways. But there are loads of other herbs as well that contain anti-inflammatory properties due to their phytonutrients with plant chemicals. But oregano and thyme are particularly rich. You can spice up your cooking with turmeric as well and ginger, and they are also well documented as immune supporters. Right, coming to the end. So thank you for being with me until this far. Staying well hydrated is important for general health. And when it comes to bolstering your defenses, water actually is a miracle worker, because it's going to be flushing germs from your system, through your urine. It helps your blood also to carry plenty of oxygen around, and allows also better absorption of nutrients. And that lymph that I talked about earlier that is pushed around by exercise, well, that's actually made up of 96% water. So as the water in the body is depleting, as you're getting dehydrated, so therefore the lymphatic flow also decreases, and the lymph becomes stagnant, congested and dirty due to a buildup of toxins that can't be eliminated at the necessary rate. So yeah, invest in a filter jug or a bottle, so we don't take too much water from out of plastic. Tap water in some countries can be good quality, or you can filter it and just add some fruit to it if you can't find water as a easy to drink. Put something in it. Get these water tea bags as well now, and yeah, just to try to think about it as an immune booster. So your bottom line is, there we go. We have a bottom line here, which is a poor diet can really lower your immunity. Making sure that we're sleeping well. Happiness is important. Trying to get your stress under control. Finding an exercise that works for you. So there you have it, all my different tips and tricks. And I wish you a very, very happy weekend. And I hope to have the pleasure of talking to you. You can take advantage, as I said, of my free 30-minute transformational health checkup. You can book that from my website. And I wish you a wonderful weekend. Thank you.